I never imagined it would happen to me. I always thought that I had everything under control. You see, I was the guy everyone called when they needed advice on relationships, the one people thought knew all the tricks to get ahead in life. But when it happened to me, when she began to pull away, I had no idea how to handle it. Her name was Lucy. She was smart, confident, and everything I could ever want. We hit it off the moment we met, or at least that's what I thought. We shared interests, laughed at the same jokes, and spent hours talking about everything under the sun. But then, one day, something changed. It was subtle at first. I noticed she didn't reply to my messages as quickly as she used to. Then, the responses became shorter, less enthusiastic. I tried not to think much of it. Maybe she was busy. After all, we all have those days when life just gets in the way. But the more I tried to reach out, the more distant she became. At first, I found myself rationalizing it. She's just having a tough week, I told myself. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't ignore the signs anymore. Lucy wasn't just distant, she was ignoring me. There were no excuses left to give. Now, I'm a guy who prides himself on staying calm. I always thought that when it came to women, I had the answers. I was the guy who could keep his cool, who didn't chase after what he wasn't interested in. But now, I felt complete helpless. I was stuck, confused, and frankly, a little frustrated. Why was she acting this way? I could have done the usual thing. Call her, text her more, ask her what was wrong. But something told me that wouldn't help. I could feel myself slipping into desperation, and I knew that's not a good look for anyone. So, instead of continuing to chase, I decided to do something different, something that no one ever tells you to do when you're in this situation. I stopped. Cold turkey. I stopped texting, stopped calling. I gave her space. But I didn't just sit around and wait for her to come back. No, I used this time to focus on myself, to remember who I was before Lucy and what I loved about life. I revisited hobbies I had abandoned, hung out with friends I hadn't seen in ages, and focused on my career. I didn't do this out of spite, but out of self-respect. It wasn't easy though. The silence was deafening. I wanted to reach out to her, to tell her how I was feeling, but I resisted. Because deep down, I knew that if I kept chasing, I'd only push her further away. I had to remember that in relationships, whether romantic or otherwise, you can't force someone to be interested. They have to want to be there just as much as you do. Days went by and my mind began to clear. I wasn't obsessing over why she hadn't texted back or whether she was seeing someone else. I realized that I didn't need to understand everything right away. Maybe she was dealing with her own issues, or maybe our paths had simply drifted apart. Whatever the reason, I had to let her make the choice. I couldn't make it for her. And then one day, out of the blue, I got a message from her. It was simple. Hey, can we talk? At that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't jump at the chance to fix everything. Instead, I took my time. I thought about it. It wasn't about playing games or making her feel bad for ignoring me. It was about being strong enough to let go and let her come to me when she was ready. When we finally met, it wasn't the dramatic confrontation I thought it would be. It wasn't a fight or a breakdown, it was calm, thoughtful. She apologized for pulling away, explained that she had been dealing with some personal stuff and needed space. And you know what? I respected that. Because in that moment, I realized that I didn't need to chase after anyone. I needed to respect myself enough to stand my ground and focus on my own life, regardless of what anyone else did. Lucy and I talked for hours that day, and while things weren't perfect right away, I felt something shift in our relationship. She saw me as someone who didn't need her validation, someone who was whole on his own, and that made all the difference. Over the next few weeks, Lucy and I saw each other more frequently, but something had changed, and it was subtle. It wasn't the excitement of early romance anymore. Instead, it was something deeper, something rooted in respect and understanding. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just another guy trying to impress her or win her over with my words or actions. I was simply myself, and that made all the difference. As we spent more time together, I realized that it wasn't just about me staying strong and focused on my own life. It was about how I handled the silence, how I navigated the uncertainty, and how I respected myself enough to let her make her own decisions. That was the real lesson I had to learn. You see, when a woman ignores you, it's not necessarily a reflection of your worth or your value. It's often a reflection of where she is in her own life. People pull away when they need space, when they're unsure, or when they're dealing with something internal that you can't control. The key is to stop chasing and to stop doubting yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't always easy. There were nights when I'd lay in bed thinking, what did I do wrong? Why isn't she responding like she used to? I wanted to know the answers, but I also knew that pushing for answers wasn't going to make things better. It only created more tension and frustration. Instead, I focused on improving myself. I started working out again, something I had neglected while getting caught up in the whirlwind of early infatuation. I also started reading more, diving into books about philosophy, self-improvement, and even relationships. One thing I came across in my reading was a powerful Stoic principle, the idea that we cannot control what happens around us, but we can control how we respond to it. And the best response in many cases is simply to detach and focus on our own journey. It wasn't just about relationships, it applied to everything. If I couldn't control how she responded, I could control how I carried myself, how I approached life, and how I treated myself. The Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus had all struggled with the same kinds of emotional turmoil, and their advice? To focus inward, to recognize that external events, including the behavior of others, are beyond our control. The only thing that truly belongs to us is our own minds and our own choices. Lucy saw the change in me, and I could tell it intrigued her. I wasn't the same guy who would drop everything for a phone call or scramble to make sure I was always available. I had rediscovered my own worth. I was no longer waiting for her to fill a void inside me. Instead, I was building my own life, fulfilling my own needs, and letting her come to me when she was ready. There's something powerful about self-respect. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to fill every moment with validation from others, it allows people to see you in a new light. They start to respect you more, and they start to feel drawn to you in a way that's grounded in something real, not something you've created out of desperation. One afternoon, as we sat at a cafe, Lucy brought up something that caught me off guard. She admitted that she had been uncertain about what she wanted. She wasn't sure if she was ready for a relationship, and at the time, she didn't know how to communicate that to me. She told me that seeing me step back, seeing me focus on my own life and my own growth, made her realize that I wasn't someone who needed her to complete me. I was already complete. And that, in her eyes, was incredibly attractive. It hit me then. I had been following the exact path I needed to. By respecting myself, by not chasing her or trying to force something that wasn't there, I had created the space for both of us to evaluate what we truly wanted. We were no longer caught up in a cycle of uncertainty. We had both taken a step back and allowed time to give us clarity. I've learned a lot since that time. If a woman ignores you, it's not a signal that you're not worthy of love or attention. It's a signal that she needs space, or that she's in a place where she can't fully give what you need. And if you chase after that, you'll only reinforce the notion that you're someone who needs validation from others to feel complete. But if you take a step back, focus on yourself, and show the world, and her, that you are already whole, something amazing happens. You start to attract the people who truly resonate with who you are. You stop being a source of frustration and start becoming someone others genuinely want to be around. Lucy and I never rushed into anything, but as time went on, I noticed how much more comfortable we were together. We spent more time laughing, talking, and enjoying each other's company. There was no pressure, no need to prove anything. We were just two people who had learned how to value each other from a place of strength and mutual respect. So, to all the guys out there who are stuck wondering what to do when a woman ignores you, here's the truth. Don't chase. Don't beg for answers. Instead, take a step back. Focus on yourself. Build your life in such a way that you don't need anyone's validation. And when you do that, not only will you find peace, but you'll find that people start to respect you more. They'll come to you not because you're chasing, but because they see your value, your strength, and your ability to stand on your own. It's not about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being secure in who you are, respecting yourself enough to walk away when necessary, and giving others the space to make their own decisions. That's where real connection happens. And if you've learned anything from this story, I hope it's this. Stop chasing after people who aren't ready to give you what you deserve. Value yourself first, and the right people will be drawn to you. It's as simple as that. So, if you enjoyed this story, if it helped you see things in a different light, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Modern Stoic. We blend ancient wisdom with modern life to help you grow, navigate relationships, and become the best version of yourself. Until next time, keep growing, stay strong, and remember, your worth is already within you.